Greetings, Blade readers. Welcome to what is an experiment, my very first YouTube video on my adventures as a White House reporter for the Washington Blade. Bear with me because this is going to be a liftoff video for potentially more to come in the future. What I want to highlight in this video is an exchange I had last week with President Trump as he was taking questions from reporters just before boarding Marine One. As the only reporter from an LGBTQ news outlet in the White House press pool, I had the opportunity to be one of those reporters. Unfortunately, I didn't exactly get an answer to my question. I wanted to press Trump on LGBTQ rights, or the reversal of them under his administration. Because Trump was taking questions exactly one day after the third-year anniversary of him tweeting out he'd banned transgender people from the military, I decided to ask him about that. For some context, Trump on July 26, 2017 tweeted out he'd banned transgender people from the military in any capacity. This was more than 1 year after the Obama administration had implemented a policy of open service. Then Defense Secretary James Mattis was already in the middle of a 6-month review of the policy, but with Trump making his intentions known on Twitter, Mattis submitted a report to the White House saying he recommended restrictions on transgender service. The Pentagon followed up by implementing the Transgender Military Ban we have today. But those tweets were 3 years ago. Given polls are showing more than 70% of Americans support openly transgender service, major medical and psychological associations say there's no problem with it, and the Supreme Court's recent decision that anti-transgender discrimination is a form of sex discrimination, I wanted to ask if President Trump would reconsider the policy. I'm a little difficult to hear over the roar of Marine One, but here's some footage of the exchange.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Really, Mr. President? You couldn't hear a word I was saying? As you can see, I posed the question to him twice. The second time, I was basically shouting the words transgender, military, and reconsider at the top of my lungs. Here's the official White House transcript. At least the White House stenographer could hear me okay. Now, as an objective reporter, I have to concede there were some obstacles in being able to hear me. The roar of Marine One was quite loud, and Trump won't admit it, but I think he's hard of hearing. All the reporters are wearing face masks, so Trump wouldn't be aided by seeing our mouths move as we ask a question. On the other hand, you guys can hear me just fine, right? The face mask blocks germs, it doesn't exactly block sound. I think it's really funny that Trump could hear the questions from all the other reporters, even though they were wearing masks, but couldn't hear mine on LGBTQ rights. So, my question to you is this, Blade readers. Did President Trump lie when he said he couldn't hear me, when in fact he could hear me perfectly well, just to get out of answering a question on one of his best-known anti-LGBTQ policies? It wouldn't be the first time that Trump said he couldn't hear to get out of answering a controversial question. When Ambassador Rick Grinnell announced he was going to be launching on behalf of the Trump administration an initiative to decriminalize homosexuality across the world, here's what he had to say to a reporter who asked him about it in the Oval Office.
Say it?
You're supposed to decriminalize homosexuality around the world.
I don't know which report you're talking about. We have many reports. Anybody else?
Mr. President.
The reporter didn't say anything about a report, Mr. President. The question was about a global initiative to decriminalize homosexuality endorsed by his own administration. To be fair, President Trump would bring up the initiative when delivering a speech at the United Nations the next year. After the exchange, I asked the White House via email for an answer to my question. I got a pretty straightforward answer. They're sticking with the Transgender Military Ban, based on issues with military readiness and unit cohesion. Just ask the estimated 14,700 transgender troops grandfathered into the military under the ban, or military service chiefs if there's any issues. They'll tell you there is none. So what do you guys think? You guys see the clip? You guys know Trump? Was he telling the truth when he said he couldn't hear me? Or was that just him pressing the escape button when presented with an LGBTQ rights question. In contrast to Trump, Joe Biden is running on a campaign platform that includes overturning the transgender military ban in favor of open service. If Biden is elected in November, he could lift the transgender military ban in as little as 30 days, according to a recent report from the Palm Center. Meanwhile, litigation against the transgender military ban continues to percolate in the courts, and the House recently voted to approve as part of major defense spending legislation an amendment that would defund the transgender military ban, but it's far from certain the Republican-controlled Senate will agree to the measure. Keep reading The Blade for updates on LGBTQ news and our White House coverage. Also, stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more videos to come. If you could click below on the subscribe button, that'll help us out a lot. It'll send a message loud and clear that you want to see more.
Charlie, can you hear me? Can you feel me?